Oh my gosh, enough of that. Hi, guys. I'm going live. You'll have to bear with me as I learn all the technicals of the streaming process. I'm trying to play with different bumper music and backgrounds. I do not have a green screen set up yet. This is why you see this very nice living room behind me. That is not my living room, just for the record. I wish it were, but unfortunately it is not. Oh my gosh, my battery's running low. Hold on just a minute, guys. There we go. All right. Yeah, I was about to run out of some juice there, and we would not have had a live. Again, my name is Stephany Davis. Welcome to my podcast on this beautiful evening, beautiful Wednesday evening. I hope you all are doing well out there. Again, this is not my living room. For those of you just tuning in, this is a virtual background. So for those of you who think I'm wealthy and rich, you are very mistaken. So I wish that this were my living room. Very beautiful. But anyway, how is everyone out there this evening? We're podcasting tonight. We're experimenting. If you see a cat come across the screen, I do have indoor cats. Sorry about that, folks. But my cats are like my kids. So they get to be on screen sometimes. So hope everyone is doing well. We've been playing with some podcasting tools on the streaming. You probably see the scrolling. If you can see my hand here, I don't know. Okay, you see right down here at the bottom, it says text RSVP. It's got my phone number 865-279-0730 for our Constitutional Summit, Thursday, October 19th, 2023. Our special guest will be Kurt Riley of the Tennessee Constitutional Republicans. He is going to be bringing us a wealth of information on how to take our county forward and how to save it from a lot of the problems we're seeing across the country. Now, there's a lot of telltale signs that some of that stuff is integrating and starting here, and we definitely don't want that to happen. I had someone today criticize someone who was actually trying to help us from who had basically moved here from another area of the country where the freedoms have been very much stopped within their local area, saying that they didn't want those same things brought here. And it's like, well, that person's actually experienced it and lived it. They are not interested in bringing that here. They want to show us how to prevent it and what they did wrong and why they had to wind up moving. So that's a great resource of information that we all need. If you're out there, let's see, let me make sure I've got everybody's comments on the right hand side. If you see me, please wave, put up an emoji, say hello or something on the right hand side so I can see who is on here. And again, I have a cat over here trying to get on the podcast. Again, my name is Stephany Davis. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking that. That helps the algorithm. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and tonight we are also on Twitter. So we have added the Twitter. Rumble, for some reason, is not working. I don't know why. I've got to check into that to see what the deal is, but there is a code we have to put in there. Don't want to bore you too much, but the code allows us to connect to Rumble. We are allowed under this particular plan to have up to 3 different platforms. So tonight we are on our Twitter channel, Facebook, and the other one, Facebook, Twitter, and the other, whatever, I'm trying to remember what it was. But we are on those platforms tonight. We actually can start going up to 7 to 8 different platforms, but we don't have the income, the money doing that right now since we're doing this out of pocket. So anyway, that will come down the road. Let's see what else we got. I'm trying to read my notes to keep me on topic here. Again, I'm probably going to look a little drier than normal because I am trying to keep this brief tonight. We've just got some announcements, and we've got some announcements to make, and I wanted to make sure you guys are on with us next Wednesday night. We've got a very special guest joining us next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. They will be right here with us on these platforms. Let me get over there and read you a little bit about that person. We have Miss Andrea Gomez. She has spent nearly a decade as an elementary school teacher working with students from different cultures and languages in California and Tennessee. And in 2020, she found herself taking a stand against mandates in her school district, which ignited a passion for studying the Constitution and the principles of conservatism. Andrea holds a master's degree in education, but believes that historical, biblical, and constitutional knowledge is the key to renewing our country and culture. Andrea lives in Middle Tennessee with her husband and 2 children. You can also find her before next week's podcast at on Twitter at Andrea Go. So it's the little at symbol AUNDREAGO. Andrea, I think it's Andrea Go on Twitter. Very interesting person. I got to speak with her about 15 or 20 minutes this week to set up a podcast, and she actually reached out to us. She found us and wanted to, her whole focus is local grassroots activism, and that's what she specializes in relative to taking back our education system. She went through a lot of stuff she's going to inform us about and show us how to find out what is going on with our local school system relative to some of the things that they try to pull over on us. A lot of people have never had to do, they've always trusted their elected officials to find these things out, and that doesn't always work, folks. We get let down a lot when we never go to the meetings, and then we find out something a day late and $1 short, literally. So anyway, let me get back over here on my list. So hope everyone has had a lovely day. We had a wonderful interview with our Harlan Stonewall, who is a local common sense, I call him an activist. He's actually regional, and he points out a lot of good common sense things that happen in our local government that sometimes people do not catch. He kind of, it's almost like he kind of sits back and he analyzes the things that we should see, and he kind of like slaps you in the face a little bit and says, "Can't you see that?" And you're like, "Wow, I had not thought of it that way." And so he's a very smart, sharp guy. And for those of you who did not catch that interview, it's still playing. You can check it out. It's about a 2-hour podcast. We were experimenting with a lot of different things. We usually don't go that long. And I know it's hard for people to stay on over an hour. I understand people have lives and schedules, and a lot of people have to go to bed early. So we try to start at a reasonable time. I noticed that Jason had a lot of people on last night. Glad that you guys got to join him. If you've not checked out his podcast, be sure to do that this week as well. We have shared that out to our network. We are looking forward to other interviews down the road. And I've been noticing on the local level that a lot of people get on these local groups and they have complaints. Everything from restaurants not doing their jobs or people complaining about them to things that happen to them at school, or things that are happening to their kids, or community issues that they don't really know who to talk with. So guess what, guys? We are opening up our podcast to local guests. So if you have an issue about something that's going on locally with especially the public schools or local government processes, or something that you've encountered, we would love to possibly have you on the podcast, and we can show you how to set it up to where you don't really have to come to our location or studio. We can actually talk with you, either just with an image on there if you don't want to be seen, like I think Mr. Stonewall had like a little logo or a little profile pic, that because he doesn't want to be seen on his. If you want to remain anonymous, that's fine. But that's what we're here for. We're here to be a voice for the people. And you don't necessarily have to always tell us who you are. If it's just a complaint and something that we think the public would be interested in, just give me a call at 865-279-0730. And also, for those of you living in other counties, outside of Union County is our headquarters. If you have something going on in your county, most likely it's going on in other counties as well. We have found that there are some commonalities to these government issues that happen from county to county. And a lot of times when one county is seeing something, another county is getting ready to go through it or has went through it, and we can learn a lot from one another and comparing notes. So if you live in Middle Tennessee, West Tennessee, or East Tennessee, and you have something you want us to know about, and you'd like to be a guest on here or get someone from your area to be a guest on here, please reach out to me at 865-279-0730. That is my 24/7 hotline, and goes with me everywhere I go. So just run me down that way. All right, let's see what else we have. Okay. And if you have an idea for a podcast, it doesn't always have to be politics. It can be about things related to our community that people need to know about outside of the realm of politics. It could be about, as an example, it could be a emergency preparation. It could be about community groups such as crime groups in neighborhoods that, community watches, crime watch groups. It could be all kinds of things, preppers, any idea that you want to present to us, just give us a call and we'll try to get you on and get you scheduled. All right, let's see. So I'm sorry I was late. Again, we were trying to figure out our software, and it's a little stiff right now. I realize it. We've got a lot to learn about the software, and so there's a lot of technicals going on. I'm not totally relaxed, as you can tell. I'm very uptight and nervous. I'm drinking coffee. I've had a long day working, and yeah, my mug says, let it snow. I don't know how many of you guys have heard the weather predictions, and I know it's ridiculous to think people can even try to predict the weather, especially in East Tennessee. But there's a lot of independent meteorologist types that are saying that because of El Nino, we're supposed to have an extremely bad winter. I don't know if you've heard that, but they're saying because of the jet streams and the weather patterns, and I'm no meteorologist, so please don't even give me that. Don't go there. But they're saying that we're supposed to possibly have a lot of snow this winter, a lot like we did about a decade ago. So we've had some very nice weather the last few winters, some very dry, seasonable, but also above average temperatures. Most of us have gotten away with having a pretty good winter. Well, it looks like that's changing. So, unfortunately, and I think the current president has said he's going to bring us all long, dark winters. So it may be closer to that this year. But hey, I love snow, and at some point I get tired of it. But first couple of 3 times, I'm cool with it. I can hang out for a while and enjoy some nice snow. They're actually saying we could have over 12 inches of snow this winter. Now that's just an average. It's a range like 12 to 15 inches. Now, if you break that down, if we had several snow systems, it may not be, but maybe 3 or 4 inches a piece, or it could be, a big one like we had 10 years ago. Well, I don't know if it's 10 years ago. Yeah, I guess it was 10 years ago. It was 2013 when we had all that snow pile in here. And I know in Kentucky, they had a foot of snow on the ground in Kentucky, in southeast Kentucky. So they had a lot of snow up there. And I think that Jeanette, I actually do think, I hope it snows deep in your yard. Yes, I'm sure it will. If it snows deep in mine, it will also snow deep in yours, since we don't live that far away from each other. But yeah, so, but snow is good for a lot of things. And of course, deep freezes kill out a lot of things that plague us in the rest of the year. And so it does help with gardens and that kind of thing. There are some benefits to it as well. But I'm not here to talk about snow. I'm just here to ramble on because I don't really have a whole lot to say tonight, except I was trying to test our software. Again, you probably see the little onset overlay below that tells you how to RSVP for the event. Now we are going to have some light finger food at that event. Probably some finger sandwiches, some chips, some desserts, some tea and coffee, some Cokes and things like that. So chips and dips and all that stuff. So we need to have a head count. And if you are planning on going, please let me know sooner than later. I'm going to cut it off, unfortunately, on October 17th. I can't take anybody. It's probably going to be full by then. We've already got like 30 people. And that Paulette Community Center is not the biggest place in the world, but it's perfect for something like this. It has a little kitchen, it has some tables and chairs, and it's got the perfect little setup for community events. But we have to start somewhere. This is a great place to just have a nice meeting and have your questions answered. Expect to learn that night. You're going to come away with some very valuable information. This is a free event. There's no charge. Everything is being paid out of most of our pockets. There is no cost to you guys. So, we are doing this because we care about the community and we want everybody to know what tools they have in their arsenal as far as preserving and protecting their community. And Union County is being, I think, prepped for something probably pretty nefarious. And we're just trying to make sure that we have the watchdog on these things that are happening, that we see happening in our county. I think that a lot of our politicians, unfortunately, are naive about some of these things. They play along with it and they don't really understand the big picture because they don't have the experience. But there are some people, I believe, on these in these seats that do know what's going on and they benefit from these things. And so we're not here to accuse anybody of anything. We're just here to find and strategize candidates who can run for these seats. We've got 3 years to get this done, and we cannot wait until the last minute to pull people into this. And we've got to train our activists. We've got to get people in place to make sure we have people at the polling locations, poll watchers. We had a problem with getting that done in time because we were kind of getting started with this and we didn't have enough help at that time. But we really need to have some people. That all has to be set up in advance. We need people to watch these polls. We're not going to get on here and say anything about voter in the I word. We're not going to say that because we'll probably get banned, but you know what I'm saying. We want to make sure that our elections are done the right way and that there's people there to watch. And so we need to prep for that now. Somebody will be, probably myself or another person. If you are able to help me man some tables or woman some tables next week at Kay's, I will be there with flyers. We do have our flyers ready. I sent some of them out earlier this morning about the event, and we need to get people signed up in person because, folks, there's a lot of people that are not on these platforms that did not even know we were having a wheel tax. And that's one of the reasons we need to have these physical meetings, because there's people that never get on Facebook. You may think they do. And yes, there's a lot of people that do, and they tell other people, but there's not enough. Okay. We could have had a lot more signatures for the wheel tax referendum had we gotten out sooner. But, most of us work, most of us have jobs, we have families, and we are not always able to get out anytime we want. We have to do it around our busy schedules. And so if you're able to help us with a table sitting there with us, I don't care if people want to, like duo up. I think actually there was several people that helped us last time. And I want to thank Miss Sandy Fleener and Miss Barbara for helping us at that table. We had a great time. We met a lot of great patriots. We have a lot of people, guys, in this county that want to make it better. You may think, oh, it's never going to change. We heard that so much over the last decade. Even when I had the newspaper, we had people saying, well, we thank you for what you're doing, but people are not going to change. Well, guess what, folks? It is changing. It's changing whether you want it to or not. And it can either change for the better or it can change for the worse. And so if you do nothing and you become a slave to the establishment, it is not going to change the way that you want it to. It is not going to be the reality that you dreamed about when you were young and said, hey, I want to live in a great productive county where my kids have good education, where taxes are low, where regulations are low, and where the government pretty much leaves me alone. It is not going to be that way. When people tell me, I don't want to get involved in politics, I still get that sometimes, but not as much. I always remind them, well, guess what? Politics, you don't have to get involved with politics because guess what? it's knocking on your door now. It's knocking on your door, and you're not going to be able to escape it. So you might as well figure out how to save your county, how to save your family, how to preserve your values where you live, how to promote conservative values. Can you imagine? I know when COVID started in Kentucky, I believe it was, that the um, governor actually had law enforcement ticketing people that was trying to go to church on Sunday. Well, you may think that's gone away. Guys, guess what? It's not gone away. It may not be COVID, it may be something else, but they are not done. Don't think that these people that have started all this mess from the top down are going to easily go away. They are not. They are not going to go away until they think they have gotten you where they want you. And you cannot give in an inch. And locally is where you have all the power, believe it or not. This is where you have the ability to basically insulate and to tell these people to go take a flying leap. Okay. But there is a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And you got to understand the power that you have as a citizen, as a common citizen. You guys actually have more power than the politician. Did you know that? You guys have a lot more power as a population, as a group of citizens, than these politicians, okay? Because you are not beholding to anyone. You are not promising any special interest groups anything. So you're not having to walk any fine lines. You're not bought and paid for. You're not bribed. Okay. And I'm not saying that all of our politicians are bribed or any of that. Okay. What I'm saying is that you need to be able to recognize those things, even though you cannot prove them possibly. You need to understand how this stuff works. That's what these trainings are for. That's why we're bringing the best of the best in here. And, sometimes we may have to combine some counties. We've got counties around us that they have the same problems, and we may invite them to come in with us or whatever to learn from some of these speakers and these people that have actually encountered a lot of these problems that we're talking about. When you're talking about gentrification, I know that for some people that's kind of a new word. It's a new word for me too. We're going to talk about that on a different podcast, but gentrification. And that is happening all over the country. There are groups and organizations that are trying to make these, what they call these super cities, where they can control populations. That's another subject for a different podcast. Then there's all types of grants that our school system gets, like ESSER. It's ESSR, and there's several steps to the ESSER grants that has set us up in a very bad way. We've got a special guest that's going to be on in a future podcast a few weeks away. She's going to explain to us how ESSER grants work against we the people. Basically, when you buy into these grants and these little tricks that the federal governments pull, and even the state government, believe it or not, Tennessee is not as conservative as you think. It may be conservative compared to like California, but they just do it a little differently. Okay. They trick you. They set up language that sounds so good and so conservative. It's like the Patriot Act. Remember the Patriot Act after 2000, after 9/11. Remember that? The Patriot Act? And it sounds so, patriotic to have the Patriot Act, but it was actually a way to take your rights away, a way to basically bottom down and try to, keep you from doing the things you want to do, like travel. Now you had to go through all these different steps just to get on an airplane. And so there's all these tricks that our wonderful government has been slowly removing our freedoms and our rights to live freely in a country that we all grew up with, appreciating and believing that we had the best country in the world. And it is a wonderful country, but it has some big problems right now. So we cannot allow corruption that has basically integrated in with the communism, the globalism. We cannot allow these people to continue indoctrinating our children and working to basically destroy our way of life. So all these things, these events that we have coming up with the podcast and the podcast and the events, like on October 19th, is to basically fixate on different specific topics so that we're not just all over the place. Like sometimes we try, when you're trying to teach people, they get lost when you're trying to talk about so much at one time. And so we're trying to basically narrow it down to being specific topics, and so that you can take away more as you learn more. And we're all still learning. We're all learning. And as we learn, we teach. So you will do that too. You'll learn something. You'll learn a new concept. You'll learn a new strategy. You'll learn a trick of the trade or whatever, of activism. Learn how to get people to act. There's some psychological stuff in this as well. There's, you probably, a lot of you are online, so you probably have seen a lot of the psychological tricks they'll do. Trolls trying to get you to, off topic, and they try to get you off of the original subject and get you all gaslighted and everything. And so there's ways to handle those people as well. And we're going to have people that show you how to do that and how to recognize gaslighting, how to recognize those psychological tricks that they try to pull on you. They also will teach you on how to listen to the media. Now, how many of you guys believe, you all can show me by your, I hope my hand's showing. It looked like a ghost. You can show me with a thumbs up. How many of y'all believe that the local media is true and honest? I should just see a whole bunch of hands go up right now. A whole bunch of likes. How many of y'all think that our local media is being absolutely honest with us? I don't see anybody. I'm shocked. Okay, so the local media is, and I don't know if you want to even call it, I mean, they let you know things sometimes, but it's how they let you know things. They can tell you, oh, we had an escape prisoner, but it's how they set the story up. And you probably noticed here in Union County how that prison or jail escape, I should say, the jail escape was set up. It was set up to be a publicity piece for a new jail. Did y'all notice that? Did y'all catch that? It was set up with the local media doing it, and it was even set up with the Knoxville media doing it. Now, the Knoxville media, they put the headline in there, overcrowding in the headline. It was almost like the Mockingbird media. Have you heard that terminology? So the Mockingbird media basically takes a headline, whatever the power or the powers that be are trying to promote with whatever story has broken, and they will say all the same thing, like overcrowding caused this to happen. Okay, that was an example of the last deal. And I'm not picking on the sheriff or anything. I'm just showing you how this works. So you notice that WVLT, WBR, WATE, and the news leader all said the same thing, overcrowding. Okay, well, how many of y'all believe there were some other factors involved in that? Okay. I saw some post on, I think it was on Union County Speaks Out, and the people were kind of snickering about it, how they recognized that it seemed to be just basically a story to promote a new jail. Okay. It was not really a story to say, well, these people escaped, they were apprehended, and happy ending. It was all about it became more about the overcrowding, like, oh, we cannot keep people locked up in jail because we're overcrowded. There was nothing really said or mentioned, I mean, except maybe on a sub level about the unlocked door, or how that could have been prevented, or how personnel changes could have stopped the escape. Notice how that was downplayed, and it was all about the overcrowding. Well, that's exactly what local media and national media does. They take a story from the local powers that be, um, and they set it up to be like a mockingbird chain event where the narrative is agreed to. And, of course, our our people that do the media, they're very good at that, trying to get their points across to the media. And pretty much the media will pretty much put whatever you want them to drive a narrative. I mean, I do give credit to the Knoxville media. They do ask other sides of the issue. Recently, when we were talking about the wheel tax, they did try to reach out to different sides, and I will give them credit on the local level. The Knoxville media did a very excellent job with that particular story. They were a little dry with it, but at least they were fair. And the local media, though, who's clearly biased, did not call anybody, I mean, at all, really, except the ones that were in favor of the wheel tax. It was almost like they were the cheerleaders, like, rah, rah, we got to have these taxes. Because, you have to understand that the politicians have a difficult task. How many of us heard that ahead? And they've done the best they can do with what they had to work with, and we're kicking the can down the road. I thought, man, if I hear that terminology, kick the can down the road, one more time, I'm going to lose my lunch. And they used it over and over. And also remember it's only $20. And the $20, that was in every post. And you had one of our folks, James Madison, he calls these folks on here shills because they repeat the same old information, and it's almost like they're campaigning constantly for the local politicians. And if you have a difference of opinion, of course, you get attacked and called a liar and all this stuff. And of course, I'm not getting into all that. Y'all know how that works, but that's pretty much every time that there is a disagreement or a question about how a problem should be resolved, and you have a difference of opinion versus a narrative opinion, you get squashed, or they try to squash you like a bug. And then when you come back and say, we're not going away, they start calling you names. That's kind of how they work. They're shields. Okay. So if you see shields on there, credit that to Mr. James Madison. He always says shields can't cash chips. And he'll probably type over here in the comments what a shield actually is. It's a gambling term, but it's also used in the world of politics. And so, James, if you want to define that over here on the right-hand side, feel free to do so. So we have a county commission meeting coming up on Monday night. I hope that most of you are there. There is never a bad county commission meeting. For those of you living in other counties, you need to really start going to your county commission meetings, especially now, and your school board meetings. Because this time in our history, politicians are going to get even more bolder with you. And especially those of you who have just had tax increases in your county. For those of you who have just had tax increases forced upon you, like we have here in Union County, Your politicians now are emboldened. They are emboldened and they're cocky, and they are going to try a lot of crap on you because you have, or in their opinion, uh, they've tried to push you back. Now they don't like it when you keep following them and dissenting and telling them, there's other options. They don't want you to go to the meetings, guys, because that means they have to face the music. So they don't want that. And the more that you go to the meetings and keep and hold them accountable, the less likely they are to be as emboldened. Okay. So you have to keep up you have to keep it up. You have to keep your activism up. And they're going to have a lot of little mini battles that they're going to start trying to do. Look out for it between now and the end of the year. It'll probably get quiet for a while around Christmas, and then it'll start back up first of the year. And they always try to take advantage of you when they think no one's paying attention. So if you don't go to those meetings and they see there's a lot of people not there, then they're going to start looking at, well, what can we do? We don't have anybody here, and they'll never even know the difference if we just go ahead and do this resolution. There's stuff that's happened in this county and and the state level, folks. If you knew about it, you would be furious. And I'm not going to get into all of it tonight because it would take too long and it's too broad. So we're going to have different podcasts for those sort of things. But we've done our homework and we've got a lot of nuggets, and they're not happy nuggets. They're not the nuggets you want to ingest. They're kind of bitter, but there's some things about your land and your property and all kinds of stuff that's going on, your taxes, regulations, all kinds of crap, that once you know about it, you're not going to be happy campers. Okay. And we're going to be revealing that in the next few months. Just trickle it through because, like I said, we're trying to narrow down our podcast to be more specific to specific issues. So anyway, I haven't seen anyone with questions. Let me look through the comments here. I'm going to scroll here. Yeah, the local media, that's a joke. We actually have a couple of different newspapers here. We do have one that's it's written well. Historic Union County, you may have seen it. That's what it says on the front, Historic Union County. It's been around a couple of years. It's done well. It's written well. It's still a little one-sided because, the people, I guess, that are involved in that publication, I think they're a little more pro-government, but they're usually fair. They try to be as fair as they can. They're educated and they have that at least going for them. Let's see. Okay. So I don't see any questions. I'm going to probably, I was going to show you this. This is kind of funny. The local newspaper. I got really tickled. I know it's backwards on here, but the truth about Union County's wheel tax. The truth in that paper. Really, there is no truth. But anyway, that article right there, and I don't know if you all caught it, but it was a hit job and a half. They are constantly attacking the Freedom Coalition. They will always attack us. They banned me from the site, from their Facebook page. James calls them the shill leader. I hope you put over there what the shills were in gambling terms so people would see that. But yeah, they've been attacking you guys a lot. They attack me, but they attack you all. when they attack me, they attack you. They attacked all of us. And what's so funny, they can never tell us what we're lying about. They call us liars and tell us we misrepresent them, but they never tell what we misrepresent. Have you ever noticed that? So they just keep printing their propaganda. Their yellow journalism continues on. But like I said, the other little paper, I don't have a problem with it. They do try to be as fair as they can. They don't print everything. I mean, they don't have all the news in it or anything. I mean, they have a right to pick what stories they want to cover. But, you know, the shill leader, as James says, they pick, you know, most of their stories is political or related to crime. And which, you know, those of you who remembered the polygraph, we also focused on crime. There's nothing wrong with that. But when they focus, this paper here is the Rachel Mad Cow of local journalism. They they do not print things without a slant or without a. I mean, it's just it's horrible journalism. But people pick it up, people buy it, and hopefully people don't believe all that craziness, but it is what it is. All right. So I think we're done for the night. Like I said, I wanted to keep it short. I did not mean to keep you guys this long. It's 9:52. I meant to get off around 9:40 or so. But anywho, we will be back next. Actually, Jason and maybe myself will be back on Tuesday night. Remember, the Tennessee Thunder has changed nights to Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. because of Jason's son being involved in some school activities on Thursdays. So at least for the winter and for the school year, the Tennessee Thunder podcast will be on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. I'm going to try to get him hooked up to this format. I have to physically do that. You have to go through a process to get it done. It's technical. So I'll probably be with him at that location Tuesday night, and we'll be bringing to you the highlights of our county commission meeting on Monday. So we'll be at that meeting. Hopefully you guys will be at that meeting. Don't depend on us to be there because, hey, they need to see your all's faces. Like I said, the more they see your faces, if y'all have not seen the, I think I'm trying to remember, is it Rutherford County, or it was one of those counties to the east of us. Man, they had a hot meeting with the citizens. The citizens showed up not very pleased with what was going on. Their county commission tried some trickery with them relative to their land use, and people were not happy, and they showed up like hundreds of people. They couldn't even fit them all into the courtroom. And they were not being told to sit down or shut up. And they all got to speak their mind. And of course, because they all showed up, the local commission, they caved in. They said, no, we're not going to do that now. And guys, it's going to take that here. We should have had more people come into those courtrooms when we were doing our activism. I was happy to have who we did. We had tens of people, probably 30, 40, 50 people sometimes come to those meetings. And that was really a good turnout. If it wasn't for you guys, the few of you who did come out, we probably would have been in worse shape. We would have had probably a huge property tax increase. Y'all know all how that worked out. That's one of the reasons that they backed down. You all probably would have still been speaking for only 2 minutes at the end of the meeting, which was a joke and a half. I think patriots across the state got pretty teed off at the state, and you saw a lot of changes happening with the way people now are speaking at the meeting. Would it not be so cool, though, to have, since our county commission has decided they can talk back, which is fine, we can have a discussion. Would it not be great if you guys could show up with all these questions and ask them questions about all their activities? Okay. I think I think it's worth the discussion. I mean, now that they're available to answer our questions, I think it would be great for you guys to get up there and just ask all kinds of questions and give them their 4 minutes, and ask them to be accountable for the things that they need to be accountable for. Um, we need to be asking them questions. I'm not intimidated by them, and neither should you be. If you go up there and speak your 4 minutes, um, and they respond back, so what? But you can go up there and talk about the things that concern you, and then just leave it with a question, and then they have to respond. And if they don't respond, just ask them again. You didn't answer my question. So there's all kinds of ways you can get to know your commissioners, and I think that this new format is going to help you do so. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think all of you should be getting your questions ready and going up there and talking with those commissioners about all these things that concern you: the taxation, the property things that's happening. You're going to see a lot of stuff happening, folks. So you need to stay tuned. These podcasts, lots coming out. We got a lot of stuff to deal with in this county. And guys, you've got all the power. All right. Well, I think it's 10 o'clock. So I may be on it again this week. I don't know. Probably won't because of scheduling, but it's been real. It's been fun. Catch Harlan Stonewall's interview. Catch Jason Mills' podcast last night. And don't forget Miss Andrea Gomez next Wednesday at 8 p.m. with me here on the podcast. And I don't have a name for the podcast yet. I thought about calling it like Butterfly Effect or something, but I think that's too generic. We'll come up with something here soon. But anyway, have a good night, guys. God bless you. And have a great weekend if I don't talk with you again before the end of the week. God bless.